So today on What is Your Jungle, we've got Pat back again, and today we've got our very own fitness specialist, Vanessa of Phoenix Fitness, who's going to give us a bit of a background on her life and what her jungle is. Yeah. So Vanessa, if you want to give a quick introduction.
Yes, so my name is Vanessa. I have a personal training online coaching company called Phoenix Fitness. And the reason that I called it Phoenix is actually because the symbolism of the phoenix, the mythical creature, is rising from the ashes. So my business was born on the back of me rising from a difficult situation, which we're going to discuss. So it really represents, whatever you go through, however low you are, wherever your starting point is, using the power of physical fitness is how you can, build yourself up to be even stronger than you were before. So yeah, I've been doing this business about almost 3 years now, and I'm really excited to get on board with Huge Gorilla and obviously to speak to Patrick as well.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Good. That sounds great. It's great to be here. Great to have you.
Thank you.
So, well, we were just talking about, you were telling your story about how you got into it and everything like that. Would you mind sharing that with us?
Yeah,
Again?
so as I was saying, I was always into sports. I used to do cheerleading, dancing, netball, you name it. I played it when I was growing up. And I always attended the gym as well, but I always went to classes or cardio. I didn't really know what I was doing. And it wasn't until I was living overseas in Dubai and I was in a relationship with someone that wasn't going so well. It got quite abusive, not physically abusive, but mentally abusive. And when I started going to the gym, I really started to see it as my sanctuary, as almost like my church. And I really started taking it seriously. I didn't just want to mess around anymore. I really wanted to see the results that I could get from taking this seriously, because I had to escape what was going on at home, and that was my only place. So started training seriously, learning about compound lifts and how, lifting really changes things for females as well as for males. And had to leave the relationship, leave the country even because of the relationship, came back to this country and decided, right, I'm going to retrain. I'm going to become a personal trainer, and I'm going to start this business and use my experience to help other people to become stronger from tough times that they've been through. And so that was where it was born. As I said, that was why I called it Phoenix Fitness, rising from the ashes. And that's really what I help people to do, is just try to communicate that through training and through, treating your body with respect and treating yourself in the correct way. It's really hard for other people to then not treat you in the same way, because you have that strength yourself.
Yeah, fantastic. James, do you want to say anything in terms of that?
No, I think it's a pretty amazing thing to have a gym, to have fitness, to push, to find that difference. It's a really interesting subject for me, because I've had several conversations over the week with people, and I was having a conversation with a motivational speaker in business and emotional intelligence in business, and they were saying actually that gym as an escapism from a bad situation is not a good thing in a way. And that's something I'd like to ask more about you on a psychological side, Pat. Is it a good thing to have the gym, or is it just covering another problem and we need to get deeper into it? So that's somewhere I'd really like to learn, because when she said to me, I use the gym as an escapism, I enjoy it, I get the hormones from it, the feel good factor, and after I feel alive. But then is that sustainable all your life? Or it's a really interesting topic for Vanessa's situation. It saved her, and a lot of people it's the same. So I'd like to know more.
I mean, personally, it's quite interesting when you talk about that. I mean, I think we're in an age where, we don't kind of realize the damage that emotional abuse does. I mean, we talk about physical abuse very, very quickly, and especially when it comes in relationships and stuff like that, we talk about physical abuse a lot. However, nobody ever speaks about emotional abuse a lot. And I kind of think it's a very sad case, because I kind of feel that emotional abuse is a hell of a lot worse. I mean, if somebody hits me in the face, in 3 weeks, that will heal. However, if somebody really cuts me deep with what they say, that's scars. And as a psychologist, I see a lot of people with that damage, emotional abuse, things that people said years ago, and it still comes back to haunt them, and it still blocks them, and it still that makes that they can't move on and move forward with their lives. So it's a very, very interesting thing. I think we've forgotten, there's these old English adage, sticks and stones may break my bones, but words will never hurt me. But actually, that is so far from the truth. And we see it with online bullying today. We see that the power of words are absolutely amazing. And if you think of that out of a negative perspective, things that people say and coaches say and people say to you in terms of yours can have huge effects on your confidence and your self-belief and all those type of things. But just as the plus side, using words well, using words in a positive way can absolutely build up people around you, can actually also build up your own self-esteem and have huge effects on how you feel on a daily basis. I think it's amazing that she grabbed up to the gym to get through that situation. It's the same old adage that sometimes you just need to focus on something else. And I mean, most of the therapies in terms of that, psychological therapies, is basically shifting the focus onto something else. Now, eventually, I think it was great that the gym gave her the courage. Initially, it probably was to shift the focus onto something else. But afterwards, because of the self-confidence that she got in it, I'm sure that the people around her in the environment probably complimented her, gave her the self-confidence she needed. She also probably watched a lot of videos, got into that type of environment where people were pushing her and telling her how great she's doing, how strong she feels. She's also knowing that when she started pushing weights and she has results, all those type of things contributed to her self-confidence, which in another case actually probably helped her get out of that very, very difficult situation. So, for me, it's kind of like courses, horses for different courses, or courses to horses. What do they say? Whatever you need to do to shift your focus away from that and to just help yourself get out of that situation I think so. Hats off to you, Vanessa. I think that was a great idea. And without you even knowing it, you basically set yourself up for success in the long term and to get out of that very difficult situation.
Yeah, I mean, I never imagined in a million years that relationship would lead me to a whole new career and meeting so many amazing people and helping so many people. And that's why I was so lucky that I was blessed with that situation, because it forced me down a whole new path. And talking about the power of words, I mean, simple things now, like telling someone after a long day at work, you can do this, you can join the Zoom class. I mean, it's such a small thing, but if you say to them, oh no, it's fine, just rest. Of course, sometimes they need to rest, but if you give them a slight bit of encouragement and say, look, jump on, join us, it's going to be fun, they do it and they feel amazing. So it's the encouragement. And the funny thing was, the guy he was never even rude about my weight. It wasn't even about that. I wasn't trying to, improve myself because he was slagging me off because I was fat or whatever. It was just that was the only place that I could escape in my mind by, doing the physical. You have a head holiday from all your thoughts. That's what it is. It's a head holiday. You're in the physical, you're doing for your body, and it gives you that reprieve. And that's why people love physical activity so much for the mental side, because it gives you that break.
Yeah, but on top of that, sorry.
Yeah, I agree. I think you've sort of answered the question there that I asked before, because I'd had it put to me, is the gym important and is it a good way of solving those problems? But knowing from doing the gym and being on the rugby pitch, when you go on that rugby pitch, you forget everything in the world and there's a sense of freedom and your mind is clear and you're focused on what sometimes it's the best feeling ever. And then you go back and the whole world comes back on you again. So for me personally, I know when the lady said it to me, I was like, well, for me, the gym's there. It works. And as Pat says, it does what you need it to do. And it's really important. So I think it's spot on what you said. You sort of answered it to me. A question I have to you, what would you say to other women or men who are in your position? How do you get out of that? And some people might not have access to the gym, or what was the thing that made you say, right, I need to do something about this? That's something I'd be really interested to know.
Yeah, I mean, I was lucky because he didn't have a problem with me going to the gym. I mean, if that person's controlling every part of your life and they won't let you go to the gym, then you're pretty stuck. So all you can do is just plan your escape. Okay, you have to be. It sounds crazy, but you have to be so strategic in how you get out of that situation, because if that person knows you want to leave or you're going to leave, they won't let that happen. So mine's a crazy story because I was living there and I had to come back here and make up this story about I was going to forgive him, but I was actually planning to leave. So it was like this whole strategy that I had so that he didn't ruin all of my stuff that was in his place. So it was a whole thing. So what I would say is you have to use your resources. You have to tell people what is going on, because you're kind of embarrassed, you're kind of shy. You don't want to say this is what's happening, but if nobody else knows, nobody else can help you. And the worst thing that somebody else can do is go to the partner and say, stop doing this, because that will make it worse for you. But you have to have a plan, and you have to be able to extract yourself and escape in a way that is safe for you. If you've got kids, safe for your kids as well, where you experience the minimum amount of damage that is possible in that situation.
I mean, I think you said it straight on there. You need to be strategic, but you also need to reach out and you need to talk about it. And that's the whole thing. And with talking about it, you'd actually see that it's not normal, because the fact of the matter is often in those situations, and you're trapped like that, you kind of create that as your normality. That becomes a new normal. And that's when we're in danger of not getting out of that situation, when it becomes normal, when people start making excuses. The funny thing is, it's quite unbelievable how people can adapt to any situation, really. And if given the right, if manipulated with the right way and motivated in the right way, people will do kind of almost anything to be in that situation, and it's kind of sad. So the fact of the matter is, I'd say, yes, like you say, just reach out, speak to people, as many people as you can, so that you can just find your own sanity. And I think, you being in the gym, obviously you met people there too, and that gave you that confidence, and also made you realize that maybe this is not normal, because people don't talk about it enough.
I mean, any excuse that you have to get away from that person, even if it's, if you've got kids, if it's, using the excuse of taking your kids somewhere or going for a walk, anytime you have a way, because you need time to calibrate what you think and what you feel without that person controlling that. So, when it starts, you initially are very shocked with how that person makes you feel. And that shock, over time, it dissolves because you get used to it. And that's the problem. You get used to it. As you said, it becomes normal, but it's not right. So you have to get as much time away as possible, and you have to be smart. Unfortunately, you have to be smart to get out, because you have to put yourself first.
Yes.
And just do whatever you can, and just know that the way that person is making you feel, if it doesn't feel right, it's not right. And anything that you can do, just do it, because the longer you're in it, the more damaging it gets.
It comes down to the simple adage. It's quite interesting. People actually forget, but the Christian principle of loving your neighbor as thyself, is quite interesting, because we forget. We only think about loving the neighbor part, but we forget it states as thyself. So if you don't actually love and respect yourself, you're not going to be able to really love and respect somebody else, for that matter. So you're right. You need to start thinking about yourself and developing yourself and changing yourself. And like you said, you used the gym to do that, and hats off to you. What an amazing story.
A question from me on that is, out of interest, is family. Are family ones you can speak to? Because a lot of time family would be like, oh, it's okay, he's not that bad, because you tend to, people who are controlling are very emotionally intelligent as well. So when they meet other people, they look like the perfect man and everything seems good because they can control their partner. they can control other people in the same way and manipulate. So if someone was in your situation and they go to their family, a lot of the time, especially if you've got kids, they'll be like, oh no, it's okay, it'll be okay, just talk to him. What's your thoughts on that, and how did that work for you? Obviously, being in Dubai was even more difficult for you because you're in a different culture, massively different culture, where women don't really have as much say as men, and then you haven't got that surrounding for you. So that's really interesting to me.
Yeah, so just a month before it all went really, really wrong and I had to flee the country, me and him, we went on a trip with my parents to Fujairah, which is one of the other Emirates, and we had the weekend together. And he was so manipulative. He was, you know, shaking my dad's hand, telling him, you know, we're going to build this business and we're going to build a life and we're going to split our time between Dubai and the UK, and really, you know, getting what he thought was the upper hand on my whole entire family. But that's the tricky part, is the more control they feel they have, the worse they treat the person, because they do think that, oh, your family won't believe you. But I was lucky in that, you know, my family were not fooled by him. They knew me, they knew that what they saw was a facade from him, and they had their suspicions. So it was just a month later that I had to flee and turned up at Heathrow in tears, you know, needing to sort it out. So it's difficult, but if people know you well enough, then they should be able to see through the facade. And especially if you tell them, I need your help, you know, you need to help me with this, then they should help you.
Yeah.
So, but no, I mean, it was, look, I mean, you know, all these things we go through and we grow through, and, you know, you have to be, you have to just use what you go through as experience and use it to help other people. And now, you know, I've been really trying since I got back to start a charity or a social enterprise to go and help women that are in like shelters here. So they've actually ran away from their partners. They're living in shelters. I really want to go into these places and do like group activities, whether it's just a half an hour class or whatever, just for that half an hour, to give them that positive feeling of exercise and endorphins. So I've been trying to do that for a while, but unfortunately the funding wasn't there before COVID from the government, and now with COVID it's just not possible. But that is long term. What I would really love to do is have some program where I can actually help groups of women that are in a really bad situation.
Oh, fantastic. That's a great idea.
Yeah.
Wow,
yeah, because it's just so important just to have, you know, you don't need to be a bodybuilder, you don't need to become an athlete, you don't need to make it your career, but just do some physical activity and get into your physicality and out of your mind. The power of that, you can't pay for that, you can't buy that. The only thing I can liken it to is being religious or being spiritual. Literally, you know, when you go to the church, or you speak to people about your religion, that is your escape. And that is how I feel about exercise. It is my religion. It sounds silly, but it's my religion.
Yeah, it's quite interesting. You've made a point about, you know, you going through that experience, and that experience basically shaping your future. And, you know, it's another interesting point that for you to be really happy and to understand happiness and to enjoy happiness, you've needed to gone through sadness. And to be really rich, you've need to be gone through poverty. And we have to be really happy. You need to, and it's quite interesting that these extremes often, you know, shape us and actually gives us a bigger appreciation for the smaller things. Like you say, just the fact of you having more control over your life now is something that you probably never would appreciate it before, but now you actually have an active appreciation for it. And just having yourself in control and having yourself take the initiative and doing what you can must give you an enormous sense of satisfaction and also accomplishment, because you've understood the both spectrums, which is it's often in those times of difficulty that we often we shape ourselves, our character, and also our personality.
I think the thing with a lot of people is as well, obviously looking a lot into it, there's the Kluber-Ross theory of the stage of emotions. And I think the one thing is that maybe you can help and Pat can help is that period of, you have the denial and then you have the grieving. You obviously got over your grieving and you got over that pretty quick. And I think that's the difficult part for a lot of people. Some people that can last a lifetime. Some people it can last 2 days, but it comes back later. And how do you get over that in your experience, Vanessa and Pat? How do you get over that grieving? How do you speed that up? Or is it just something you have to let happen naturally? But then when do you get control of it?
Vanessa, you want to go first?
I was sorry, go on, Patrick.
No, sorry, I said you were going first.
I mean, look, I was only in that relationship for 6 months. It was a very short time but a lot of damage is done. So for people that are in these situations for years, I mean, it took me 2 years to properly get over it. And I still have memories of the things that he said that they still do get to me. But I know from an intelligent level that he only said that to make me feel bad. It wasn't the truth. So if you can detach yourself by sort of convincing yourself that the things that were said were not true, they were just for that person to feel better and to get you to feel bad. That's the first thing. And just let yourself grieve, like whatever you need to do. You know, if you need to speak to people, if you need to go to counseling, if you need to speak to psychologists, if you need to go to the gym, whatever you need to do, just let yourself do it and don't think, oh, I should be over it by now, or, you know, I should be better, or I should be in a new relationship. Don't beat yourself up more than that person beat you up. Just be kind to yourself and do whatever you need to do to help, basically.
I mean, everybody have different time frames, like you said. And I mean, saying that you should be done with this in a certain amount of time is probably very unrealistic, because there's just, all of us are just so different. I've met people that could get over things like in an instant, and then you get other guys that would get over stuff that are much harder, and they would take years to get over it. So there's no magic recipe in terms of that. However, I do always believe that in those type of situations, we need to start questioning our core beliefs. And sometimes we have these fixed beliefs because maybe of what that person said to you. That is a belief that created, and he fueled it. And then basically we then create the self-doubt, and then you have this whole like snowball effect that just comes bigger and more difficult to stop, and so forth and so forth. So in those situations, we need to ask ourselves, what do we really believe about ourselves? And why did that have such an impact? So why did that have such an impact in terms of our beliefs? And if we look at ourselves, deeply within ourselves, if we understand why that made such an impact, then we can start the process of healing a lot quicker and getting over it a lot quicker. But anyway, in my humble opinion.
Yeah. And it's just also understanding that, you know, mistakes or failures or things that happen is not, it's not a bad thing. It doesn't make you less than someone else. You know, having to start again, or having to start a new relationship, or get a divorce or break up, or whatever you have to do for your own life, your own sanity, it's not a failure. You know, a lot of people, they're so scared to make mistakes, they're so scared to fail, they're so scared to start again. You know, I gave up this, you know, glittery, amazing life with a nice car, a nice house, everything, because I wasn't prepared to sacrifice the quality of my life and my feelings for material things, or for what anybody else thought of what I was doing. You know, I went back to work on reception in the gym for a minimum wage whilst I was training, because the quality of my life was more important to me than anything else. So just having the courage in your convictions and not caring what other people think is really important as well.
No, I think you're a pretty inspirational person, to be honest. And a little thing I've got written on the bottom of my whiteboard when I do my weight training is fail, learn, grow. Everyone fails, you learn and you grow from it. And I think what you're doing is important to help people improve physically, but I also think there's a lot of women out there who could come to you to help the mental side as well, be part of what you offer. And if women out there are in an abusive relationship, then Phoenix Fitness and through Huge Gorilla and working together can be that escape. Come on the Zoom class and at the same time, if they come online and talk to you about your fitness program, you can help them that. And I think having someone like you detached from the family, completely on the outside, giving an honest opinion is a pretty amazing thing. And I know that's a big part of why we want you as Huge Gorilla. We're proud to have someone on board like you who can speak openly, and I think helping women, but also there's no shame in a woman helping a man and helping a man develop physically as well. I think a lot of men actually benefit from having a female trainer because they can express themselves more. There's not that sense of I've got to be stronger than my trainer, or that competitive side. There's that side, okay, are you happy in yourself? What do you want to do today? And I think sometimes men sort of forget that because of the way the whole image is created now around men being big and strong.
Yeah, exactly. And also, if a man is feeling abused in a relationship, that is, equally as valid as the other way around. So, again, just be brave and speak out about it, and don't be embarrassed to tell the truth, because at the end of the day, every day is precious. That's all we have. So you shouldn't waste any time feeling bad or feeling like you're in the wrong place or the wrong situation or the wrong this or the wrong that, because there is light at the end of the tunnel, and you can help yourself and you can get help, and you just have to admit to yourself, first of all, this is what's happening and this is not right, and I know that it can be better, and reach out and get any help that you can. There's so many amazing professionals, and there's so much free access now to information and to motivation, and YouTube and Instagram, and there's so many places where you can see ways to get out of a dark place. So that's the first step, and take it step by step. Don't feel like there's any rush. Every day you can make a really, really, really small step, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, whatever it is. But over a year or 2 years or 5 years or 10 years, that's a whole new life. So don't give up. Just take the smallest steps that you can towards what you want.
Yeah. You made two really very significant points for me today in terms of that. The first was you said that you wanted your life back, even though you wanted your mental side back, you wanted your control back, even if that meant you needed to go do a reception job or a small job, and you left the money and everything behind. And sometimes that's one of the things that people actually forget, that our mental resources is so much more important than actual money or anything like that, because money is illimited. There is so much money in the world. However, your mental health and your mental resources that you have are actually quite limited. We get told that it's not, but you do. We all get to a breaking point, and we need to start protecting that a hell of a lot more. That happiness, that mental happiness, that mental health, that self-being, that sense of self is so important. And if we don't protect it, people will take it away, and people will steal it from you. I always have this saying about, vampires, the old story about vampires. I do believe that in life we get vampires, if you want. They don't suck your blood, but they suck your energy. They suck your mental resources, and you're just completely depleted after. And we should do whatever we can to protect ourselves from these type of environments. And this can also be in working environments and all those type of places that these things happen. So, protect your mental resources. That's the first thing. And the second thing, when you talked about learning and failing, was one of my inspirations is Nelson Mandela. And he always used to say, he said, I never lose. Sometimes I win and sometimes I learn. And I love that, because that is so real to life, that, we can take a failure at any way we want, but actually most of the times in those difficulties and in those failures, that's where we learn the most.
I think that's great. And as I said before, it's great to have you guys on board. And for the people out there, if you need to speak, we've got Pat. And if you want to speak and feel scared to speak to a psychologist, and while you're training, we've got Vanessa at Phoenix Fitness, and that's part of Huge Gorilla. It's what is your jungle? It's not living in the jungle, but everyone's life is different, and it's about living in your jungle, controlling your jungle, and that's a big part of what we want. We want to offer a product that's quality and helps your health, your mental health, and we care about you at the same time. So thanks for your time. It's a pleasure to share your stories, guys, and Pat, your knowledge, and hopefully one of many more.
Yeah. No, thank you so much. It's really important to get these messages out there, as you said, and be part of more than just just a small thing. So thank you so much for having me.
Pleasure. Thanks, guys.
Thanks, buddy. Always a pleasure. Bye, Vanessa. Nice meeting you.
Bye, Patrick. Nice to meet you.